The Australian magpie is on average 41 centimeters long with an average wingspan of 76 centimeters. It weighs between 220 and 350 grams. It has a red-brown eye, an imposing thick triangular-shaped bill that tapers evenly to a sharp dark point, a square-tipped tail and strong legs. The adult males have strong contrasting colors of glossy rich black and their whites are cleaner than the females. The back of the neck of females is white and their back is mottled grey. Australian magpie is passerine bird placed in its own genus Gymnorhina Tibicen and is most closely related to the black butcherbird. It is not related to the European magpie. With its long legs, the Australian magpie walks rather than waddles or hops and spends much time on the ground. Described as one of Australia's most accomplished songbirds, the Australian magpie has an array of complex vocalizations. They eat invertebrates such as earthworms, millipedes, snails, spiders, and scorpions, as well as a wide variety of insects such as ants, beetles, cicadas, moths and caterpillars, and other larvae. Their diet may also include skinks, frogs, mice, and other small animals, as well as grain, tubers, figs, and walnuts. It is generally sedentary and territorial throughout its range. Common and widespread, it has adapted well to human habitation and is a familiar bird of parks, gardens and farmland in Australia. In spring and occasionally in autumn, a small minority of breeding male magpies become aggressive, swooping and attacking those who approach their nests. Research has shown that magpies can recognize at least 100 different people and may be less likely to swoop individuals they have befriended. There are currently thought to be 9 subspecies of the Australian magpie, although there are large zones of overlap with intermediate forms between the taxa. There is a tendency for birds to become larger with increasing latitude, the southern subspecies being larger than those further north, except the Tasmanian form, which is small. The main difference between the subspecies lies in the saddle markings on the back below the nape. Black-backed subspecies have a black saddle and white nape. White-backed subspecies have a wholly white nape and saddle. Juveniles have lighter greys and browns amidst the starker blacks and whites of their plumage. 2- or 3-year-old birds of both sexes closely resemble and are difficult to distinguish from adult females. Immature birds have dark brownish eyes until around 2 years of age. Australian magpies generally live to around 25 years of age, though ages of up to 30 years have been recorded. The reported age of first breeding has varied according to area, but the average is between 3 and 5 years. As one of Australia's most highly regarded songbirds, the Australian magpie has a wide variety of calls, many of which are complex. Pitch may vary as much as 4 octaves, and the bird can mimic over 35 species of native and introduced bird species, as well as dogs and horses. Magpies have even been noted to mimic human speech when living in close proximity to humans. Its complex musical warbling call is one of the most familiar Australian bird sounds. The Australian magpie prefers open areas such as grassland, fields and residential areas such as parks, gardens, golf courses, and streets with scattered trees or forest nearby. Birds nest and shelter in trees but forage mainly on the ground in these open areas. It has also been recorded in mature pine plantations. Birds only occupy rainforest and wet sclerophyll forest in the vicinity of cleared areas. In general, evidence suggests the range and population of the Australian magpie has increased with land clearing. Magpies have a long breeding season which varies in different parts of the country. In northern parts of Australia they will breed between June and September, but not commence until August or September in cooler regions, and may continue until January in some alpine areas. The nest is a bowl-shaped structure made of sticks and lined with softer materials such as grass and bark. Nests are built exclusively by females and generally placed high up in a tree fork, often in an exposed position. The trees used are most commonly eucalypts, although a variety of other native trees as well as introduced pine, protagus, and elm have been recorded. Other bird species, such as the yellow-rumped thornbill, woolly wagtail, southern whiteface and less commonly noisy myna, often nest in the same tree as the magpie. The Australian magpie produces a clutch of 2 to 5 light blue or greenish eggs, which are oval in shape and about 30 by 40 millimeters. The chicks hatch synchronously around 20 days after incubation begins. Like all passerines, the chicks are altricial. They are born pink, naked, and blind with large feet, a short broad beak and a bright red throat. The black and white coloration is noticeable from an early stage. Nestlings are usually fed exclusively by the female, though the male magpie will feed his partner. The Australian magpie is known to engage in cooperative breeding, and helper birds will assist in feeding and raising young. Juvenile magpies begin foraging on their own 3 weeks after leaving the nest and mostly feeding themselves by 6 months old. Some birds continue begging for food until 8 or 9 months of age, but are usually ignored. Birds reach adult size by their first year. The age at which young birds disperse varies across the country and depends on the aggressiveness of the dominant adult of the corresponding sex. Males are usually evicted at a younger age. Many leave at around a year old, but the age of departure may range from 8 months to 4 years. It is important to note that the magpies are a protected native species in Australia. I hope you have learned a few new things about the much adorable Australian magpies. Thanks for watching.